The greatest aviation mystery of all time still baffles us. With all the technology and manpower at our disposal, why are we not able to find a mere missing plane with 227 passengers on board? As the days pass, the plot thickens. We have the latest updates on the missing plane.
MH370 gets a Thai connection.
华航370，华航370 MH370 MH370 Control radar hope to see you. If copied, please keep the exceeding height direct to the destination.
It's been more than a week and a half, yet no clue about flight MH370. At desperate times like these, any clue can prove to be vitally important. The world has united in the unique, never-seen-before search and rescue mission, but not all countries are willing to cooperate. Few establishments are not willing to share defense secrets, information that might prove to be the missing link and give a lead for this unique case. On the 11th day of the investigation, finally, Thailand officials broke their silence over the missing flight 370. Thailand's military said on Tuesday that its radar detected a plane that may have been Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, just minutes after the jetliner's communications went down. And why did they not report it until now? Well, they believe it is not necessary to share information even for an SR mission of this magnitude unless they are specifically asked for it. Because we did not pay any attention to it. Well, when the whole world was on its toes, Thailand seems to still prefer standing by good old formalities. Here's what Thai officials finally revealed. Military radar was able to detect a signal which was not a normal signal of a plane flying in the direction opposite from the MH370 plane. Thailand's failure to quickly share possible information may not substantially change what we already know about the missing Malaysia airliner, but it raises questions about the degree to which some countries are sharing their defense information. Nations already involved are now working on new strategies to gather clues on the missing airliner. Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan say there were no sightings of MH370 in their airspace. The Pentagon has deployed specialized surveillance aircraft which will be more efficient to look for MH370. Yes, the hunt for MH370 is still on.
It's tough to even imagine what the families of those aboard flight MH370 are going through. They cling on to a shred of hope. Let's now show you an investigative report that opens a whole new dimension to the missing Malaysian airliner.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the bereaved families affected.
These movements are consistent with deliberate action by someone on the plane.
The operation has entered a new phase. The search was already a highly complex, multinational effort. It has now become even more difficult.
My emotion is going through a roller coaster ride.
In the early hours of Saturday, the 8th of March, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 vanished into the night. An hour into its journey came 4 words from the flight deck. Okay, received, good night. And with that, it was gone. This programme will look back at the search so far and how it has expanded to cover 1/10 of the world's surface. We will also examine what we know about the pilots and the passengers on board and explore the theories of what might have happened to this plane on what should have been a routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Rescue teams from 25 countries are now involved in the search for the missing plane. Dozens of aircraft and ships are scouring the ocean for a sign, a clue, anything.
How difficult is your task?
Very difficult, and wherever we never give up, we try to search.
The operation initially centred around the last known location of the aircraft. Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur Airport bound for Beijing on Saturday the 8th of March at 12:41 a.m. local time. The last transmission from the plane's onboard communication system, ACARS, was previously said to be at 7 minutes past 1. We've now learnt that it could have been switched off up to 30 minutes later. It has also been revealed that the last verbal contact from the plane to air traffic control was at 19 minutes past 1, 11 minutes earlier than previously said. And it has emerged for the first time as well that the last words from the cockpit were spoken by the co-pilot before the plane's transponder, which tracks it, was turned off. At 1:30 a.m, air traffic control in Kuala Lumpur spoke to the flight deck. "We've handed you over to Ho Chi Minh Air Traffic Control," was the message. "Okay, received. Good night," was the reply. It was the last anyone heard of them. An oil slick aroused interest early in the investigation, but was then dismissed. It had nothing to do with the plane. So too some floating debris, a door perhaps. Not so on closer inspection. And in another twist of possible hope, satellite images appeared to show smoke rising from the ocean south of Vietnam. But like so many leads in this investigation, it was quickly dashed.
Usual telltale from any airplane that crashes into the sea, the one thing that immediately floats are seat cushions. You know, they're not tied down. They will, if the hull breaks up, seat cushions will be floating everywhere. That's been a trademark of aircraft crashing into the sea.
Whatever the fate of flight MH370, the pilots will have played some role. 53-year-old Zahari Ahmed Shah was the captain that evening. He is a vastly experienced pilot with more than 18,500 flying hours under his belt.
He was a volunteer in the community program that I organized. At the end of the program, there was this guy helping to stack chairs to clean up the place. And not having met him before, I asked, "Who is this man?" And I was told he works for Malaysian Airlines. I went to say thank you to him, and he introduced himself, giving me his name card. And when I saw he was a captain of a 777, that's the kind of humble person that Captain Zahari is.
The first officer was Farik Abdul Hamid. He's 27 years old and joined Malaysia Airlines in 2007. He was fairly new to this model of aircraft, a Boeing 777-200. CCTV shows the two men going through security on their way to board the flight that evening. We are told they did not specifically request to fly together that night. Police have started searching their homes, talking to friends and neighbours. This is Captain Zahari's house. On a smart compound on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur. His maid looks out of the door. They found this simulator in Captain Zahari's house. The data on it is now being analysed for clues.
As a friend, my emotion is going through what I call a roller coaster ride. when you hear of a potential answer, a positive answer, it goes up, and then there's no, it goes back down, and goes up and goes down. And yeah, it's difficult. And I can just sympathize with the families of the people involved now, because they must be going through much, much more difficult times.
The longer the search goes on, theories that might have been initially dismissed as outlandish are now being treated as credible. Every day, the authorities brief the waiting families on the latest in the investigation. But with no sign of the plane, the grief is becoming unbearable. Emotions are running high.
They've been avoiding their responsibilities and talking nonsense. There are a lot of contradictory answers to our questions. That makes us very angry. I'm angry that the Malaysians don't tell the truth. They lie to the whole world. I'm totally frustrated about this. Where is my son? Even taxis have GPS. They can be found if they are lost or stolen. It's a huge plane, so high-tech and so advanced. How could it not be found? It's a joke.
Splits start emerging within the search operation too.
We are facing difficulties because the location where the Malaysian plane lost contact was inaccurate, our search operations lack reliable bases and are untargeted. There is excessive information from various channels. 1 minute something is found, the next it's denied. This kind of false news is too much and has greatly affected our decisions.
And then, finally, some news. A press conference is called. In Beijing, the families prepared to watch it, nervously, expectantly. A week to the day that flight MH370 went missing, with speculation running wild and desperation growing, the Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak reveals to the world major new developments.
We can say